Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's podcast broadcast of This Week in Science. We are here for another episode of This Week in Science. I'm not muted. Does my microphone sound correct?
It sounds great.
Your microphone sounds great also, according to
Excellent.
me. I mean, I hope that our listeners think that everything sounds great also. Yeah, we're about to start this show and we're missing somebody, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. We're going to keep going because we know how to flow with this. We've been doing it for over 26 years now. So, we know how to handle a quick shift. We can adapt, go with the flow. Hi, everybody. So good to see you. If we make issues, I don't want to make issues, but if the technology makes issues, if we have issues, if things get weird, sometimes things get really weird and they have to get edited out of the final podcast. This is not the final podcast. This is live. This is the stream where you get to be a part of the show. We talk with you and it's all super great. Super great. Grat. It's grat. Super grat. And anyway, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player if you want the nice edited version that Rachel takes care of for us. That is, look for This Week in Science wherever your podcasts are found and subscribe and tell your friends. But now we're really, really starting the live show. You ready, Blair?
I'm so ready. Let's do it. Let's talk about science, please.
You ready? I'm ready. Oh, we've got a Nord prefect in the house. We've got a Paul Disney, Kevin Reardon. Who else? We got Fada. We've got some, and Gord, our in-law, is in there. We got some great people in the house tonight. Thanks for joining us. Let's get this show on the road. Let me set the scene. In 3, 2, this is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 1059, recorded on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. Humpty Dumpty sat on the science. Hey, everyone. I am Dr. Kiki, and tonight we are going to fill your head with plastic beaches, urban life, and things in your eye. So fun. But first, disclaimer. I was going to read a disclaimer for the guest tonight, but I don't know about this, so I'm going to make one up on the spot right now. Humpty Dumpty sat on the science. Don't you wish that it was an appliance? No, you don't. You just like that it's science. Technology is the application of science, and science is the act of questioning everything in a very well-controlled manner. I don't know. It's a process. It's a method. Science is not a collection of facts. If you sit on it, can you break it? Maybe we'll talk about that and more tonight on This Week in Science. Coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind that can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Good science to you, Kiki.
And a good science to you too, Blair. And everyone out there, welcome to another episode of This Week in Science. We're rolling. It's so good to have you here tonight, Blair.
I'm so happy to be here.
I know. We can get through the week, be able to do all the things, and still show up. Sometimes we can't. Sometimes when we do, it just is magic and we just get to hang out together. So everyone who's here in the chat, who's watching live, or even if you are time shifting and you're coming across this later, you're taking the time and you're being here. You're choosing, and this is great. So thank you for being here. I hope that we will have, actually, no. I know that we will have a great show ahead.
Yes, we will.
Yes. So, Blair, you've been up to a few things in the last couple of weeks. Is there anything that you want to tell everyone about?
Yes. So aside from just being absent from the show because I was terribly ill for just so long, over the last 2 years, I've been working on launching a new podcast. And so it actually did launch a couple weeks ago. Tomorrow, our third episode drops on Thursday mornings. It's called the Fantastical Field Guide. And I originally did it as a pilot during the Daily Tech News Show's experimentation week in 2024. And we had enough fun that we decided to do it for real.
Thanks, Roger.
Yes. Tom and Roger kind of said, hey, I feel like you'd have something to do here. And I thought about it, and it's myself, it's my husband Brian, and our friend Jesse, and we talk about fantasy animals. So mostly Pokemon is where we start, and then we add in Dungeons and Dragons. We had Poplars from Futurama on an episode, Godzilla, face huggers, and so they'll tell me all about those animals because they're both mega geeks, I say, with the most respect, because it's quite amazing what's in their brain. And then I get to try to find good matches from the animal kingdom for some of the crazy adaptations. Kind of, for one, I think that people get really excited about fantastic animals and the cool adaptations or kind of things that people have written about them, and they feel very otherworldly. And I'm very excited to tell them about the crazy things that happen in nature. But two, I think a lot of these things actually did take inspiration from some natural animals. And so we have a good time kind of talking about what might have been the inspiration, what things might be similar. And then I usually try to throw them a crazy curveball. So that's always pretty fun. And we have a great time. It's a 45-minute long podcast. It's a nice little easy listen. Check us out wherever podcasts are found, or fantasticalfieldguide.com.
fantasticalfieldguide.com. But there's also, you have Fantastical Field Guide. Are you on Instagram?
Yes.
Are you other places?
Yeah, Instagram is where I've been posting. We talk about a lot of visuals on the show. So I post the some of the visuals that we talked about on our Instagram. While you're listening, if you want to see what does that look like that she's talking about, then you can open up our Instagram and I'll post those on Thursday and Friday. I try to trickle things in there so that you can check them out. So all of our visual aids are there, and then our website goes directly to our Acast, so you can find Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all iHeartRadio, like all the other things where we plop.
Perfect.
Our episodes are found
where
there.
you plop your episodes, because that is exactly how a podcast comes out. Is
it plops.
When a mama podcaster plops out the baby podcast. That's how it happens.
That's so funny you say that, because one of my Animal Corner stories tonight is about childbirth.
Yes. Amazing. All right.
So please give us a follow, listen, and please comment on our Instagram posts. Let us know what you like, what you think we missed. Just be nice. Please be nice.
Oh,
we're just having fun.
Yes. Don't be mean. Just be nice. Tell Blair what you love about her podcast. But the biggest thing is check it out. Take a listen to Blair's Fantastical Field Guide. I've listened to a bit of a couple of the last 2 episodes, and they're super fun. I mean, face huggers. It's face huggers was like the last episode, wasn't it? And I mean, how can you go wrong with face huggers?
Yeah. Hopefully you'll learn something about animals. You'll learn something about some of the background for some of these fantastical animals. Maybe you'll get interested in playing D&D or watching a movie or playing Pokemon.
We love D&D. We love all the games. Yeah. I mean, imagine. That's really just a command. Use your imagination. Imagine.
And it is clean also. I think that we were careful to we don't swear, and I try to keep things fairly PG overall.
I can imagine, though, that this could be something that would be useful for high school educators or even middle school educators, as long as it is clean. Kids are watching Aliens younger and younger these days. I don't know. I was
Yeah.
shocked to find out, I tell you, shocked to find out how young kids watch some of these movies.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, tell your friends. Take a listen.
Take a listen. All right. And now on the show tonight for everyone, we have science stuff. You know, we like the science stuff. And I've brought stories about plastic beaches, things in your eyes, things in mouse eyes, and plants in your eyes. Also, medicine killing bacteria or bugs, you know, however you want to refer to them, and some big eggshells.
Ooh.
Yes, that have been
I'm excited for the
broken
eggs.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you bring? You said you've got birth, but what did you
Yes.
bring, Blair? What's in the animal kingdom?
Yes. I have human childbirth is not that special.
What?
We're going to talk about it. And urban animals, they're tough.
Oh, we knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just how tough? We'll discuss.
How do you find out how tough an animal is? Is this like the sharks versus rhinoceros?
Man, working at the zoo, I will say, just a quick tangent. That was my least favorite thing that kids always asked in zoo camp.
If you put this animal up against this, who's gonna win?
A rhino or a tiger? Who would win? A shark or a crocodile? I don't know. How big are they? How old is each one of them? Are they hungry? Are they in each other's space? Is there a mate nearby?
Right.
What kind?
Is one just a helper and one a predator? Like I saw a deer.
I reject the premise.
I saw a video recently of a deer crossing a river and an alligator trying to get it, and the deer continuing to somehow get out of the jaws, and it was doing okay, but it wasn't quite to shore. And then a hippopotamus came up and got in the way so that the alligator couldn't get the hippopotamus. I mean, the alligator couldn't get the deer. Sorry. Yes.
Yes, but was it intentional? Probably not.
I bet the hippopotamus wanted to eat the deer.
No.
They're vegetarians, I know.
But they do like to chop crocodiles and alligators in half. Or I guess crocodiles.
So there it was. So yeah, there's a hippopotamus who was like, hey, it didn't chop him in half. It just, you know, everybody got away scot-free in that situation. Anyway, this is This Week in Science. We are going to start this show with some good old-fashioned science news, dun, 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 which is really what we talk about the entire show. It's a discussion show. We're big on talking about the science and figuring out things about it, being curious. Like, if you like being curious, be curious with us. If you enjoy the show, make sure you head to YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, where we are live every week, 8 p.m. Pacific time-ish. And our shows are then there where you can watch them, time shifted. Additionally, you can find us on all good podcast platforms, and our website is TWIS.org if you want show notes with links to stories and other great resources from the show. And as we are, I guess, moving forward here, I don't have anything else to say except, are you ready? Is it time
ready.
for the science?
Hit me with some science.
Woo! Okay. So, news out of One Earth this week, an open access journal. Researchers looking at plastics on shorelines around the world. It's not microplastics. It's just plastics. What's there? What is threatening ecosystems? You know, what's going on there? So these researchers analyzed litter across 112 nations around the world. And in doing this, where they were looking, they suggest that their sampling represents 86% of the world's population and where people show up, and also identified common items by their usage. So, what did they show? What do you think, Blair? What was the top kind of polluting bad plastic?
Oh gosh, straws.
Kind of. I mean, it's not straws necessarily, but food and beverage plastics. So The dominant or predominant plastics that they found on shorelines were food and beverage containers. So people going, hanging out, leaving their food behind, or even garbage that is getting pushed into waterways that ends up on the shoreline, or things that fall off of boats or whatever. The majority of in 100% of the nations, the majority was food and beverage. We then were
Yeah.
followed by plastic bags, cigarettes, fishing and shipping materials, foams, hygiene sanitary items. Apparel is way down there. Other kinds of containers, industrial waste, and gun cartridges are the very, very tiniest. But the fact that they could even pick up gun cartridges on the beach is a little bit wackadoodle to me. But
I will say, when I've done a lot of coastal cleanup days over my
what have you
career,
found?
and it has been plastic bags and cigarette butts are most of what I've found.
Yeah, interesting.
The cigarette butts, I think, are less over the course of my career. I've seen less and less, which makes sense. Less and less people are smoking.
Yeah.
And I think less and less people are throwing their cigarette butts every which where. So that tracks.
Yeah.
The plastic bags are constant. And I think it's because when they did a plastic bag ban, they just made more thicker plastic bags.
But then they made the ones that everyone's supposed to use and keep.
Yes.
But then people throw those away too.
Yes.
Or
They're
people
not,
forget them or leave them behind or wherever. Yeah.
I think lumping all of the food service stuff together, that makes sense. Also because cutlery is heavy. So if you're measuring by weight, the cutlery is really thick.
Yeah.
So that's
even
gotta
with potato starch
contribute quite a
cutlery,
bit. Yeah.
that stuff doesn't disintegrate that quickly.
No.
It's still very plastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want a potato starch or other starch that disintegrates with water, where it has like a time, it's like a time action, where when you take a time activated pill and it disintegrates over hours to become activated and release the
Yes.
products. Why can't we have that for forks or
Right.
straws? They work for the duration of a meal and then turn into potato starch.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do they need to last more than a couple hours? They really don't.
They don't. Once they've got, they really don't. So,
Mm.
beyond the plastics, they did look around the world at where different things showed up. And so we have these locations around the world where, basically everywhere that they looked, the food and beverage plastics showed up. But it became less and less in different materials, in different locations. Straws, so they have the straws. They're really not the big deal. And they are the biggest deal in West Africa. They're not as big a deal as everybody makes it out to be here in North America, which I think is something that these special items that people like to bring up for political uses, we need to be aware of the realities of the situation. Yes, it's garbage. Yes, we should be doing something about plastic, but it's not about the plastic straws. It's about plastics writ large. And
Mhm.
we should not be worrying about people getting straws at restaurants. We should be worrying about the usage of plastics within the food and beverage industry across the board.
Mhm.
So,
Medical. I expected more medical, I gotta say.
yeah.
The amount of medical waste is insane. I'm wondering if it's because medical waste, they're better at disposing of medical waste. So it's less likely to end up on the beaches, but there
Yep.
might be still a very heavy amount found in the landfills.
Yeah, so the largest amount was the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, for medical waste. 13.3 is the
Yeah, it's
percentage.
having a
Mhm.
spouse in healthcare and also like paying attention when I go it's really distressing when you see the amount of plastic waste. But there's also not a good solution because you have to be sterile. Everything has to be sterile. So everything's single use. There
Yep.
you can't autoclave everything. You can't autoclave like saline bags.
No, I mean, and the saline bags are plastic also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And
we
the
don't have a better
limes
solution
and
for a lot of the containers for these liquids or these,
yeah,
we're not sending
catheters, just like anything that's going in your body, feeding tubes, those
special
have to be plastic because they have
polymers.
they have to be soft.
Mhm.
It's that one's one where I feel like there's a lot of plastics that we can get rid of, and yeah, our things might be less convenient, but we could do without it. Medical, we're really not getting away from the plastic in medical.
No, but in the food and beverage industry, we really could. Caps, lids, straws, plastic bottles, cutlery, trays, food packaging. There are a lot of ways to improve. And plastic bags for shopping. That actually is one that's much bigger of a deal than the plastic straws. So we still have not dealt with that issue. But anyway, yep, everywhere around the world is littered with our plastics. And like you said, it is highly representative of our eating habits, our food habits, which is, it makes sense. We got to eat. So, but we're not good at throwing things out, apparently. And our cigarettes, which people often throw wherever. And then those plastic bags that hold things. So, the things that are closely associated with human behavior, very closely associated with majority of human behavior, are highly representative of the plastics that you find on beaches around the world. All right, Blair, you want to talk
Yes.
about something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you want to hear about birth or tough city critters? Which one?
We built this city,
Great.
a tough animal.
So as you might expect, I gave away the headline here because it's kind of a duh, but I wanted to explore it a little bit. Urban animals are tougher. Makes sense. There's more. They have to deal with humans and all of the variables therein. Researchers at Lewis and Clark College in Portland, and then North Dakota State University have conducted a global meta-analysis of how animal behavior varies between urban and non-urban populations of birds, mammals, amphibians, reptiles, and insects. Urban populations had heightened boldness, aggression, exploration, and activity compared to rural counterparts. This was most pronounced and most studied in birds, but they found it in other animal groups as well. No matter where you are in the world, urbanization changed behavior in consistent and predictable ways. The strongest result was that they generally seemed more risk positive. They're just generally more bold. This matters because this means there is going to be an increase in human-wildlife conflict. So planning for that, knowing how to manage species when they become urbanized is really important. But also there is a greater threat for zoonotic disease transmission. The very easy example of this is that, yes, there are still raccoons that live in forests. Okay. And if you went camping,
what is the raccoon cartoon that the Japanese animator?
Are you talking about Totoro?
No, it's not Totoro. There's a very interesting Japanese raccoon dog anime. It's very interesting. It just, yeah, I'm blinking on it right now. But yes, anyway, raccoons, they live in the forest.
Yes. So if you went camping, if you backpacked in to a remote location and you went camping, a raccoon is not necessarily going to come right up to you and try to take your food.
No.
But if you live in a city and you have a neighbor that feeds raccoons, you're going to have a raccoon coming right up to your back door asking for food. Part of that is just learning that that's a good method, a good way to get food because there's reliable food nearby, but there also is boldness. We are predators. We have binocular vision. We can hurt raccoons. We look like something that can eat a raccoon. It is not evolutionarily a good idea to go up to a predator and ask it for food.
Right.
And so
they haven't learned to be like squirrels yet. No, I'm kidding. Please?
So there's a boldness there. So there's a difference between like learning this behavior for survival and boldness, but I think that actually those two are related, and that there's strategies for survival and there's just like, hey, we live around these people. There's no way to get around being around people. We're going to be extra bold. Generally, they did see this a lot more in birds, like I mentioned. But they did make distinctions between fully urbanized species like seagulls and pigeons, and then animals associated with more rural habitats, but are now being pushed into more urban areas, or those rural areas are being more developed. Those are things like whitethroats, yellowhammers, and red poles. Those are all birds. And
those birds are more European birds. Yes.
Yes. But they're generally more
rural,
wild.
Yeah.
And so they saw the same behavior shifts in areas that were urban, where those less usually urban birds were found. They were also acting more bold. And they say that this highlights a need.
If you compared redstarts who showed up in urban environments with redstarts who are out in the country, the urban environment ones they act differently.
Right. Exactly. And they say that this highlights the need for urban planners to consider animal behavior when they're planning new urban areas. And that could include creating green spaces to maintain connectivity so that they are not forced into the human areas and they have kind of their own green belt to use to get from one side of that urban area to another. They combined data from 80 existing studies. They looked at animal behavioral traits. They spanned 28 countries and 133 distinct species. 70% of that research was on birds. So it just seems like that's where most of the research is going. Insects, amphibians, and reptiles were 10% of the data. And so, doing the math there, that means that I guess 20% was mammals. Most species remain understudied in urbanization. I'm actually wondering if people don't study animals like raccoons because they're like, they're city animals.
No,
we don't need to study them.
They do, but it's different. It's and the way it's discussed is it's usually with respect to urban planning or pest management or
Yes, exactly. So it's they're not. I feel like that's kind of what I'm getting at is that it's just taken as kind of gospel truth that like raccoons are bold, raccoons are urbanized, raccoons don't mind humans, raccoons take risks around human activity. They're technically nocturnal, but they'll bleed into the daytime hours to try to get to resources. They'll open trash cans. They'll learn how to break into your trash can. Like that's just raccoons being raccoons. But I think that that's the part of this that I find so interesting is that they actually looked at comparative studies from the more rural to the more urban versions of the same species. And I would find it very interesting to do more of that. Of course, they need to be more bold to deal with us, right? That's just like, if you're going to be in the city with us, then you have to get used to it.
It's so interesting though, like, we have the old story, Country Mouse, City Mouse, right? Where the country mouse goes to visit the city mouse. The country mouse is like blown away at everything that the city mouse, but they both teach each other something, right? There's this, it's a funny story. It's a folk tale kind of that is taken on its own life. But as it's a story that is told to kids, is a cartoon that kids can watch and is a great story for kids to think about exploration, it's also as I've gone through the years, I've seen it in reference to researchers who have taken it into the lab and actually started doing these experiments looking at squirrels in urban environments. The rats in New York City versus, say, rats out in the country. We are looking at also all the bird species, like you mentioned before, like all the bird song stuff and bird behavior. There is a ton. And I don't know why. And maybe it's just I have a bias, like for noticing bird stuff more. But like the last several years, there's been one study after another that's like, here's the bold city bird versus its country cousin. Here is the city bird who sings louder. Here is the city bird, that they've focused a lot more on birds, I think, maybe because they're easier to look at
Yeah.
and to study within an urban environment. But
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
And there's light pollution, there's sound pollution, there's just
right.
people, like if you were flighty, having people around,
yeah,
you'd never get anything done. You wouldn't eat, you wouldn't mate, you wouldn't take care of your babies. That's like the whole point of being alive. You got to adjust. So it's not a surprising finding, but I think that these kinds of studies are more and more important because behavioral ecology is really important for, like they mentioned, health, human health, zoonotics, really important. Anticipating responses to climate change, anticipating changes to urban planning, like when they build a new road or change the type of trash cans that they use in a neighborhood,
or in a certain situation where all of the waste maintenance people, they go on strike for a significant period of time, and no garbage is picked up. And what happens then to your city? There are so many factors, and so often it is just the anthropomorphic issue of, oh, what if this is happening to us? What's happening to animals? And what's the light pollution doing? And oh, how does it affect us then? It's all comes back to us eventually. But in this case, it's not about us in terms of how we are building an environment that is, I guess, directly affecting us. But then what are the indirect effects? Based on how what we build, our built environment, how that impacts the other animals present within it, and how those animals impact our health. So the secondary effects.
The other thing I was thinking about too is those people who do feed wild animals in urban environments, which you shouldn't do. I'm not going to go on my long soapbox rant about this.
I mean, honestly, don't let your cats out so the coyotes can eat them. I mean, don't feed the animals.
Don't feed the animals. Don't feed the animals your cats. Don't feed the animals dog food. Don't feed the animals pancakes. Don't feed the animals. And I know that they're cute and they look, quote unquote, friendly. But this is where this study comes in. They're not friendly.
No.
They're bold. Yes. They have learned to be more and more bold and take more risks. Yes. What did they say? Risk positive. I'm going to start using that. I'm feeling very risk positive today.
Oh, wow, that's a new way of phrasing. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to risk averse.
Yeah.
Or just bold. I'm feeling risk
or
positive.
Self-destructive is the other one that I think you could use as a human. You could call yourself risk positive.
I'm risk positive. Yep, there we go.
But that's why they're doing that. So, in the overall kind of like education campaign, there's a million reasons not to feed wild animals. If you care about the animals, the number one reason is that you are actually going to do them more harm than good, because A, that's not what they're supposed to be eating. Okay. and B, you are teaching them to feed from you instead of from the wild. C, once they are not eating in the wild, they are not fulfilling their ecological purpose in that space, which then cascades to other plants and animals in the area who aren't getting the functional benefit of those animals eating what they're supposed to be eating. Raccoons, for example, eat a lot of leftovers. They eat a lot of what other animals would consider garbage, and they actually help keep an environment clean. So if you don't have raccoons eating the already dead stuff, the carrion, the leftovers from other animals, the rotting plants, whatever it is that they decide to find and eat, if they're not doing that, then that can cause disease to spread in the wild. It can cause plants to not grow like they're supposed to, and then other animals don't have plants to eat. So there's lots of cascading effects to the animals themselves and to the ecosystem that they serve. From a human perspective, you are teaching that animal to approach people, and it is more and more likely that a person is going to get bit by that animal. Of course, that animal, if it gets caught, will probably get euthanized. So that's also not helping that animal that you're trying to feed. But those people could get sick because there are zoonotic diseases. Animals carry bacteria, all that good stuff. So, like, all of that to say, that was the short version of that rant. Don't feed wild animals. Don't let your friends or family feed wild animals. I know it's cute. Don't do it. But this is why.
Animals. Don't do it. Yeah.
It's not that they're friendly. They're bold. They are risk positive. They are doing anything they can to find food in the urban environment. And part of us managing, sharing space with them is not feeding them. So.
Don't feed the wild animals, everybody. Don't encourage their boldness. But the one question, though, is something we do not know. Are they bolder because of interactions with people, or are they bolder because those are the personality types that have made it into the more challenging urban environment?
Yes. Or I have a third one. Are they bolder because resources are scarce in an urban environment and they have to be? They're desperate.
Right, but that was kind of what I meant. Like, you have to find the cafe where the people spill the crumbs. You don't have as many plants. There aren't as many insects. You have to, like, so where you have to be wily, a coyote. You have to be able to be a problem solver, to be able to, like a raccoon or a rat or crows or whatever, who are able to figure out how to get to the garbage and the leftovers very easily. There is a certain, I mean, there are the green spaces that exist within urban spaces that allow animals to be a little less, a little more wild. But is there something about, and we've talked about it in terms of the psychology of humans as well, that the environment that we have built ourselves urbanly, the urbanity of it has changed our psychology also. And so is it the same? Is it just certain personality types that thrive within urban environments? And is it the same for all social animals?
Yeah, like
That's the question.
Is it that the ones who would thrive in the city go to the city? Or the ones that would thrive in the city survive in the city?
Survive in the city. Yes.
And therefore there's a genetic predisposition? Or could anybody survive in the city, but they adapt behaviorally throughout their lifetime?
If they have that predisposition to adapt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
that's a good question.
I mean, there are a lot of people who are like, I'm out of here. I got to go to the country, get myself a farm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then people
52 wild hogs
who moved to New York and they're just so different now.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Urban environments. Yeah. It changes you.
They do. Our environments, and this is the study of built environments and human psychology and our microbiome, and also the built environment study, I think, is so important because it's going to influence how we look at the future of humanity across the planet and also into space. You know, as we build our environments, how do those surroundings influence us? Whereas animals usually do not build their environments, they exist within them. But how do the things that we build influence the animals that end up in those spaces? So
Mhm.
I think it's fascinating. Psychology, brain and behavior, never liked it. Yeah.
One of
Okay.
those soft sciences. You can't see it, you
Yeah,
know?
the softy
It's
sciences,
harder to
exactly.
measure.
Oh my gosh. So speaking of birds and animals and development and evolution and all that kind of stuff, let's talk about colossal science. Colossal, the biotech startup that
Oh,
wanted to make a dire wolf, was making the
oh
Tasmanian
boy.
tiger, that's
And the
making the
dodo.
dodo. It's like announcing all these
Uh-huh.
things that are like kind.
Yeah.
It's like kind of, but they're really, some of them are very great steps that could allow for better conservation of
Mhm.
living species on our planet. So, for example, this latest study, wow, they're talking about wanting to bring back, like, I think it's like the giant moa.
Oh, yeah, the MOA,
The
yeah.
moa, they wanna bring, yes, they wanna bring back the moa, not just the dodo, but also the moa. The momo is very, very, very large, or was. It's dead,
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. Um, one of the things about that is that its eggs have to be very, 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 very
Yeah,
large.
of course.
And pretty much all of the studies that are trying to develop the "let's make another animal" platform, like, especially with birds, they're using chicken eggs.
Yeah.
And chickens as the platform, and chicken eggs are chicken egg sized.
They're
They're not,
small and they're thin.
and they're thin-shelled. They're not big enough for an ostrich, they're not
Why
big
yeah,
enough
why
for a
wouldn't you use an
dodo, they're not
ostrich
big,
egg
they could use
instead
them.
of a chicken egg?
They could, but they decided in their plan
Okay.
that in this de-extinction plan that they have, they're like, "Hey, we don't really need the whole egg. Let's make a fake shell." Right? So
What
their press releases that came out this week, today actually, they have a crazy video that's all sci-fi that gets everybody excited, and you're like, "Oh my god, it's real, the future's coming." And then you're like, "Oh, it's just really nice lighting and good editing." Um, but what they have done is created a 3D printed shell or platform for basically putting a bird embryo into a safe space. It doesn't contain all of the stuff
Hmm,
like the placenta or the yolk
right.
in terms of birds. It doesn't contain all of the things that it needs, but they were able to create a tension membrane
Okay.
that
The
is,
albumin or whatever it's
well, kind
called?
of, well, it's like outside the albumin. So, you have the shell, and then you
Yeah.
have the membrane that
Oh,
is
yeah, what is that? Doesn't that have a
within.
name?
It does.
I'm looking it up.
It's a respiratory membrane in the avian egg. Um, so anyway, they
Oh, it's just called the eggshell membrane.
eggshell membrane. There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
So they create a device. It's a 3D printed device that is lined with a membrane that does the oxygen exchange that membrane within the eggshell between the albumin and the shell actually takes care of. And so that's one of the gas transfer is one of the
Yeah,
big
that was my
problems.
first question.
Yes.
'Cause the I don't know, butt of the egg, the
Mhm.
flatter end, there's it's extremely permeable, and that's where the air pocket develops.
Yes.
So this 3D printed shell is permeable enough, is what they're saying, for that to happen?
Yes, and
Huh.
they were able to develop embryos to chick stage. And so they were able to 3D print these devices, and they could probably be reusable, but they were able to create them in such a way that the chicks grew to
What?
full gestation. And so they were able to, quote unquote, hatch the chicks from their fake eggshells, from their 3D printed eggshells, they pulled the little membrane off the top of them when it was time for them to come out and go peep, 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 peep. Um,
Oh, it's open like that? There's no, like,
yeah,
lid?
there's no lid because there's really no reason for
Oh,
a full shell as long as the gas transfer membrane
I
is
see.
complete. The
So I
shell
was
is
picturing,
protective, but
can
the
I
membrane is the most important.
can I tell you what I was picturing?
Mm-mm.
The you know those reusable water balloons?
What?
You don't know? This
Mm-mm.
looks like, do you remember those things that we used to play with when we were kids where you flip them upside down and you put them on the table and then they'd like pop up?
Oh,
The
yeah.
little half circles, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So they make now reusable water balloons so that you don't have balloon garbage everywhere. Speaking of plastic pollution, that basically looks like two giant of those flippy things that seat in each other,
Mm.
and so they're like
Like, do they still
silicone.
splash on you and get you wet? And
They
are they
open up.
okay when
It's
you're
very
hit?
different, but
Yeah, it's
yes, they're
different.
soft
Okay.
and they open up. They just kind of crack open. But that's what I was picturing for this 3D printed egg because it sounds reusable and like you'd have to open it to put the embryo in and then close it. And
Mm.
so that's what I was picturing. But the fact that there's no top on it is like especially weird and sci-fi to me. Like instead of having a lamb bag, you have like a lamb
The lamb bag for
bowl.
babies, that's right, I remember those stories, yes.
It's like it's just open. It's like in an open pot. Like it's just like it's I know that membrane's on top, but it just feels very naked.
I can understand that. But yes, anyway, they hatched 26 chicks through
They're
their
just chicken
work.
chicks.
They're just chicken chicks. They
Okay.
chicken chicks. That's funny. But they have not done any genetic modification on these chicks. They were just trying to show that this egg system works without natural shells that they could create. The thing,
Wow.
though, is that other researchers are basically like, well, this isn't the first time that anybody has created synthetic eggs for chicks
Uh,
because there have been lots of reasons through the years that researchers have wanted to see the developmental process, to be able to keep an eye on how things are going. And so this is a different process for a synthetic egg. They're calling it an artificial egg, but the other researchers who are critiquing this are basically saying it's not an egg. It doesn't have all this stuff inside of it that a chick that turns into a chick, that supports a chick. It just is the embryo and then the membrane, and then they, like, pump it's like, cell culture, but with, like, a pretty top on it. Um,
oh, interesting.
yeah, and so it's a support cup, and they put stuff in it, but it doesn't yeah, so they're basically like the criticism is that this isn't an egg. It is like an eggshell
Okay.
or like the egg membrane, but it is not calling it an egg is, you know but nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody cares. A
I'm
chick
gonna
came out of
say
it.
what I care about in this case is that it doesn't really matter if you can call it an egg or not. What matters is, could you use this to grow a bird? And if you
Mhm,
could, then
and
it
they did.
serves their purpose to try
Yes.
to de-extinct the dodo or the moa. All that to say, I think that's all BS. And, I'm just trying to figure out if Colossal is trying to leverage this sci-fi take to get money to help save animals, or if they're really legitimately trying to do this sensationalist stuff. And I still can't really figure that out. And I guess in the end, it doesn't matter. Like, they're going to be able to license this technique to
Yeah.
people in conservation in the end.
Yes.
So there will be a net positive no matter
Yes.
what. The question is, like, is it going to be benevolent, or are they going to charge people way too much for it?
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the big questions. And having met one of the people involved in the VC firm involved in one VC firm involved in funding Colossal. They come from a science background. They come from a background of wanting to do good and do science. And so, I want to attribute all the best factors, right? All the best traits and purposes. But I think that is in the end, are they using sensationalism to get us to a better future? And if
Yeah,
they
I don't
are,
know.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oops, we didn't get to reanimating all this stuff, but look, we saved all these animals.
Yeah, we
and
saved the white rhino.
made all these new technologies in the meantime. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
But if it really is about, profit and
Mhm.
just, creating a weird, alien animal future, I don't even understand that. Like,
Well, and that's my other problem with this, is that they're not actually de-extincting anything. They're
mm-mm.
also not talking about even the conservation implications of this. You'd still be creating hybrids.
Mhm. They're
No
hybrids.
matter what,
They're not the real animals.
Colossal works in hybrids.
Mhm.
That's what they do.
Yep.
Even if they're going to quote unquote save the white rhino, they're going to have to split in other rhino to make
Mhm.
it happen.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
They're not going to make a dodo. They're
Or
going to
it'll be a
make
rhino from a cow.
right, exactly. They're
Right?
going to make a dodo, chicken, ostrich, something. It's like, that's fine if that's the future we're moving towards, or a bunch of laboratory animals. I mean, that's what we did
Mhm.
with plants. That's how we got broccoli. So who am I to
Mhm.
say, really?
Right. We've gotten great things from hybridization. We have gotten great things from big goals that have other things have come in the process, right? Like you sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, and sometimes you are able to seed some wonderful ventures. But yeah, I think we're not alone in our questions, which brings me relief that not everyone is just,
Mhm.
not everyone is bowled over by the sensational language these days, which is
Yeah.
a little bit exciting. Yes, Brian Burwell, let's make chimeras. Let's
Yeah.
go.
The only thing about that makes me really
Bring
sad
back
is
the
that, I don't
unicorns.
know, I've like built my entire personality around talking about animals and their adaptations and their evolutionary
Mhm.
history. And if we suddenly have all these animals running around that we just made, that kind of changes everything.
Yep.
There's no evolutionary history, there's no adaptive radiation, there's no, adaptive pressure. There's just things that we decided would look cool.
But I mean, Blair, dogs.
Yeah, I'm not going
I mean,
around
all of our
spending all
pets.
day talking to people about French bulldogs and why they look the way they look, because the answer is because someone thought it was nice. Like, that's the whole story.
So many of our pets, so many of our plants, so many, in our domesticated urban world, the reality is that humans make so many things because we want to, without thinking about consequences for that animal, for that organism, or for the world at large.
Yeah.
And I think
You mean we've all spent so much time thinking about if we could, that we never really thought about if we
I
should.
mean, let's go back to the South Park episode with the monkey with 4 arses. I don't know. Was that what it was? 3, and then it
Yeah.
was 4,
Yeah,
and
I don't remember. I know there were several.
but that, that's that old episode. It really gets at that question of just because you can, should you?
Yeah.
And what is it? And what happens to those animals, those organisms, everything? And how does society react? But then at the same time, we are living in a world where we're becoming more and more aware of the fact that we are actually connected to it. whereas in the past we used to think we were special. People still like to think that we're special, but more and more people
Yeah.
are actually like, no, hey, what we do matters. And so I don't know. I'm just glad more people are thinking about consequences than they used to. Mm.
Some
Some.
are.
I said more.
Yeah.
More people are.
Yeah, I think that's generally true. I hope that people have that in mind when they vote. That their actions have consequences of some sort.
It's up to us, everybody. Actions have consequences. What
Yeah.
about childbirth?
Oh boy. I have a lot to say about this study.
Okay, let's go.
The University of Vienna says human childbirth is not uniquely difficult among mammals. Hey, Kiki, what do you think about that?
What? It's not?
So I was under the impression, and I have a feeling that you were too, Kiki, that humans are kind of ill-adapted.
That
to
we're
give
bad
birth.
at
We're bad at
actually
birth.
the birth. Yes.
Yes, for a bunch
That's
of
why
reasons.
like so many women die. And
Right.
continue
A lot of women
to.
die.
Yeah.
A lot of women continue to die. Our babies are birthed kind of par-baked, which is why they're so they now call like the initial few months of the newborn phase the fourth trimester, because basically like the baby should have stayed for a 12-month gestation, but they get too big and we have to give birth.
I think I had
They
Kai
will
right
die.
around the time that they decided that was a new
Yeah.
thing. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, what? Nobody told me that. Okay.
Yeah, and it's for real, man. Like anyway. Because we're bipedal, our whole body plan kind of changed, because we are upright and our head is upright and our spinal column moved and all these sorts of things. Our birth canal is kind of a mismatch to the size and shape of an infant human. And for all those reasons, childbirth is really difficult. Also, like, we only have one usually, and they come out different than a lot of other mammals come out, and yada yada. Anyway, all that to say, we're bad at birth. And in all of the like pre-birth prep that I did, my classes in the hospital, like the books that I read, talked about how the way other animals do the act of birth is also very different from how we do it. And long story, but until I think Louis the 14th, women didn't give birth on their backs. And then they started giving birth on their backs because he wanted to watch. Anyway.
That's where that...
But before that, like, birthing stools were very normal. Like, so also, other mammals will like walk around or
And
get up
midwives.
and lay down and get up
Yeah.
and lay down and
Mhm.
change position and
They
do
move
all sorts
around.
of things that like we just lay on our backs. Which, thankfully not everyone does
We
that.
don't
I was
do that
able to get up and
anymore.
move around
Yeah,
and
it's
all anyway.
yeah.
So
It's better now.
also, like, a lot of people get epidurals when they give birth because it is so painful. So painful. And that we don't think there's that much pain going on with other mammals because they're like up and around. Like, there are animals that give birth mid-migration. Like, they just keep walking. Pop out the baby, keep walking. Like, just...
There are humans who give birth in bathroom stalls and didn't
That's
know
true.
they were pregnant.
Yeah.
So
No,
this
that's
is
also
not
true.
something that is widespread across humans
Fair.
as well.
Yes. But this study from the University of Vienna shows, quote unquote, we're going to talk about it, that many other mammals, from domestic livestock to wild species, face similar birth problems and mortality. So that is what this study is about. And I want to circle back around to what difficult childbirth means. This study is specifically talking about birth problems and mortality.
Great. Not the nice, successful smooth pregnancy and birth.
Right. So
This is
so
the
we
way
will
it
we
goes
will get
wrong.
back. We will go back to the what difficult childbirth means.
Mhm.
For the case of this study, they're talking about birth problems and mortality. They say that in other species there are similar complications that happen at similar rates as human populations. They tried to look at hunter-gatherers without modern medical care as a base, because that's the first thing that I thought of is like, yeah, but we have like hospitals. And
Right.
so
let's
if
go
they're
to
dying at the same rate that
Yeah.
we're dying, that actually means that our numbers should be way
Lower.
higher.
Oh,
Our
wait.
numbers would be higher. They
Yeah.
are suppressed because of modern medicine. So if
Yes.
we're saying that our current and their current are like us and zebras have the same maternal mortality rate in birth, then that would mean ours should be like way up here, but because of modern medicine, it's been suppressed.
Yes.
Right? Our
Yes.
numbers are lower. But they tried to use hunter-gatherers that live without modern medical care as a base for humans. So that was their attempt to kind of factor out modern medicine. There's other factors, right? Like what are these? I want to know more about this data set that they picked for humans, but I digress.
Okay, so what are the things that are like, so is it
Yes.
things that go wrong at different times? in
Yes.
different
So they
places,
looked at
right?
scientific literature and compiled data on birth complications across mammals. They looked at cows, sheep, and then also seals, deer, and other wild animals. They looked at complications and risks. They looked at like, for example, how tight a fit the birth canal was for the individuals coming through. They
Yeah.
looked at, of course, maternal mortality. They looked at, fetal mortality. They looked at lots of different kind of potential problems that could be counted as an evolutionary disadvantage, I guess, because the whole idea is like, why could humans still have these difficult childbirth situations when modern medicine is still so recent? Like, how did humans make it? And I think that was the inspiration for this this analysis, was to look at, it can't be that unique.
If everybody else is dying, humans are
Yes.
dying at the same rate, or like
Yeah.
it wasn't that special. So
Exactly. So basically
rate
they're
of
saying we're
success
not
is common.
special. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
this places human childbirth in a broader evolutionary context and is not uniquely difficult. It follows a biological pattern that is shared with other mammals.
Did Did you ever read All Things Good and Small? All Things Great and Small?
That sounds familiar.
So
I
there was
can't
it
remember.
was a book written in like the 80s, I think.
Oh, it was
And
about
a farm veterinarian who would
Yes, I
go.
did.
And I remember reading it, and his like first experience being a farm veterinarian, he had to go and help with like the birth of a calf on this farm, and it wasn't easy. And he like, because the calf was getting stuck
Yeah.
in the birth canal, and like, so there's this whole reaching in to like reposition the calf and try and get the calf out. And I'm like, oh, like what they do when the human head isn't fitting through the birth canal correctly, they
Yes.
try and reposition to get it to come through, right? So and then there's the question of whether or not the umbilical cord is wrapped around the neck, or that would constrict breathing or blood flow. And this is something that also happens. It
Yeah.
was something that I remember from that story in All Things Great and Small. And he had to
Yes.
like, there was, yeah.
But see, I would immediately say, like, is that because we have selectively bred cows for certain things that ignore other evolutionary
Which
pressures?
is it a domestication issue?
Right.
So
But
is it only domesticated animals that have these reproducing birth problems?
Right. And so this meta-analysis is looking at, for example, that whales and dolphins have calves that get stuck during birth, but they don't even have a bony pelvis. and they're still getting stuck. In deer and antelope, rates of birth complications and female mortality are similar to humans.
Mhm.
The types of birth complications are similar, such as a tight fit between the fetus and the birth canal. And that is common in species that give birth to large, well-developed offspring like monkeys, ungulates, and elephants. So like all of them still have these similar problems.
Mhm.
And then they also notice that overnutrition can cause the fetus to be too large and have issues with childbirth. And then undernutrition can cause fetal mortality for the babies to come out and not survive.
Yeah. Mhm.
So the question is, how is this allowed evolutionarily? And the crass version is
Enough survive that it's okay.
yes. And also, like, if the baby survives but the mother doesn't, the genes continue.
Mhm. So then you
And it
still
would
have
be
the body type, or especially if the female, that
yeah,
female might then take after the mother and have small hips
right.
again.
Yes, and
Yeah.
whereas you might think it's better as a
Mhm.
numbers game to be able to survive and have more offspring, if you give birth to a
Mhm.
large offspring that has better chances of survival and better chances of being selected for future mating and
Mhm.
reproduction, then it's actually more important to have the larger offspring, even if it kills you, than to have many offspring that are smaller and easier to give birth to.
Yeah, but perhaps this is part of what the human advantage became, which is having the cognitive ability to start to understand the problems of childbirth. And so back with Neanderthals, maybe they started manipulating things like eons ago, right? Maybe there was stuff that maybe there were midwives a long, long time ago.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah. But as one by land is saying in the chat room, as populations go, only about 10,000 humans made it through early history to today.
Mm,
So to be the starter population, it started small, right? So maybe that bottleneck shows that birthing was sketchy back
mhm,
in the distant past.
mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And to get back to my original point, okay, so
Yes.
difficult childbirth.
Yes.
So sure, maybe the figures are comparable for maternal mortality, for fetal mortality, for obstruction, for complications, like all these sorts of things. So
Mhm.
that is one kind of difficult. The other kind of difficult is how painful is it? And that
Mhm.
one I would like some more study on, because yes, some of them look very painful. Some of them looks like a water slide. Like pew. Especially the animals that give birth to large litters
Mhm.
where the individuals are quite small. Like if you look at, I would wager, I haven't done the math, but I would wager that if you measured a puppy's head, not a bulldog or a French bulldog or a pug, like a golden retriever. If you measured like their skull, the fetus skull when they're born, the infant, and then you measure like the dilation, the dilated opening of a golden
Mhm.
retriever mother right before she gives childbirth, and you looked at that ratio, I'm willing to bet money that it is very different from a newborn baby human and the 10 centimeters that we dilate to.
Yeah.
So,
But there's
uh,
also I'm wondering also how much our reliance on C-sections and the
mhm,
survival of
yeah,
offspring in humanity as a result, especially in Western society, how
yeah,
that is influencing survival. And if we are not able to continue with C-sections, what does that mean for survival in the future?
yeah. Well,
What's
and the
gonna
other
happen
thing,
with death or birth rates if everything changes?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
I mean, it's
The other thing I
think
was thinking
about.
about is just how long it takes to give birth for a human. It feels long. Like,
It can be very long. It can be very short,
it's
but it can be days.
so
It's not always just simple just an hour and it's done.
I gave birth without any medication, but it still took 16 hours.
Oof.
And I think that's the part that, like, I don't recall mammal birth taking that long.
No, you can't, because you're then
You're on the move.
predators can get you super easily. So being able to take that long for birth means that you're protected, that you're
Yeah.
within a social structure that is containing you and protecting you. Otherwise, you can't do it out in the wild on your own.
Yeah.
You know, that long of a birth, unless you are on the move and finding a safe place and, like, protecting yourself somehow the whole time. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't so I think that's
I
the
find
part
it
of
very
this study that I
interesting.
have trouble with is, like, what does difficult mean? Because also, like, think about how
It's on the
it's originally
species.
the
Yeah.
pelvis position that we were talking about at the beginning.
Mhm,
Think about the pelvis of a quadrupedal animal, and then think about the pelvis of a human.
mhm,
And they're just very different. And so, if you're listening, I'm kind of going from like a butterfly, ours is like a butterfly kind of, and then I'm turning it into like a bowl. And I just feel like successful, not successful, fine. But I also think that the it's what you're talking about, Kiki, the fact that, like, we lived in villages and we're
mhm,
protected and we have all these kind of support systems allowed for long drawn out and potentially more painful birth to
mhm.
happen and to maintain
Yep,
without evolutionary pressure. And I
yep.
think that that's the part that, like, if we can measure the pain, I'm very curious what contractions feel like to a giraffe and if it is
Probably
comparable.
comparably terrible. I
I
mean,
suppose.
I'm gonna say comparably terrible. We just it how do we it's just how do you perceive and think about the pain?
Yeah, I
Like, is a
don't know,
giraffe
but
thinking about it the same way? I
yeah, are they
mean,
barfing while they're in
probably,
it's just like,
probably. I mean, but
maybe.
do giraffes barf?
For sure,
That's
everything
a really
barfs.
long neck.
Yeah, but they chew cud like a cow, like, they
Is
have
that it
multiple stomachs like a
in
cow.
their neck? No. Do cud-chewing animals who ferment barf?
Yeah,
You
that's
don't
basically what it is, they're barfing into their mouth and then chewing it
it's
and then
not the same.
swallowing it again.
It's not the same. That's not the same.
It's similar.
It's not the same.
It's
That's
a it's
not the
a it's a
same.
it's a foregut.
Anyway,
It's
anyway,
pre-barf, basically.
I find it very interesting to be looking at these wonderful, visuals that I'm looking at of across placental animals, dystocia prevalence, and so, uh, obstructive dystocia prevalence. Humans, it's pretty bad compared to other animals, where things get stuck. That's not great. It's pretty high up there. Whoa, we're way up the anteaters are higher than us and sheep in one study. Um, but
Huh.
then maternal mortality, it looks like capybaras are
Yeah,
higher than us.
weird.
Echidnas maybe also. But we are very high when it comes to that dystocia related female mortality. So obstruction
Yeah.
related, basically. So when things go wrong in birth. Um, and like you said, it's antelope and deer are really high with us. But we have a high mismatch between our pelvis and the fetus size,
Yeah.
which is a big deal. And I bet it's going to get bigger.
Yeah.
And so we need to figure out are all our babies just going to be C-section in the future? Is that how it's going to work? So
Oof,
that like
that's
is
rough. There are
do all
complications there
midwives
too,
need to be
though.
I know. Does everyone need to be trained in C-sections?
Yikes. Man, this graphic is bothering me.
So for those who cannot see this, it is a graph of the feto-pelvic ratio, which is the size of the fetus to the opening in or the pelvis itself. And so we've got little images of Fetuses with their heads are smaller than the opening in the pelvis, same size as or larger than the pelvis. So the baby just gets bigger. And so there's the graph of phenotype probability density versus that ratio. And there's an overlap in the fetopelvic disproportion when you hit a ratio of that 1-to-1. As soon as it gets, that probability of a size of pelvis and size of fetus, past that, it becomes bad for individual fitness.
Well, the individual fitness drops to 0
It
after
drops to
1
0 after
because
1. Yeah.
then
Too
what?
big.
Can't get out.
Take it out, right? Or if you can't get it out, so C-section.
If you're in one of those hunter-gatherer societies without
so
modern
historically,
medicine, you're toast. That's it.
Oh, fun. What fun. This is a great study.
Yeah. I mean,
Humans
it's just
are
an
not
interesting thing to
unique.
think about. We're not
Birth
unique.
is hard.
Birth is hard. However,
birth is
don't
hard.
expect to do what an elephant or a giraffe does, is all I'm saying. We don't know if it's the same. It's probably not.
And this is a rabbit hole that I don't know if I mentioned it last week or I ran down this rabbit hole that offended me, appalled me, and it's the wild birth movement.
Okay.
And
oh no.
It's I appreciate women who want to have a midwife or over a doctor. I appreciate the different ways that in our choices that we make, we can choose to do what we want. But it became a cult, the wild birth movement.
No. Is this
and
giving birth in the woods?
No, but it
Okay.
is the belief that our bodies can handle anything that comes, and anything that comes is meant to be because that is the way it was made. And
Oh
so
no.
the wild birth movement and these people who created money-making systems, selling workshops and creating a whole network for women who were feeling hurt by the medical industry, which makes sense. Women have not necessarily been provided for historically. But it is the opposite movement, which is I can be free, I can be supported by my friends and my family, and I don't even need a midwife. I don't need
Yikes.
anybody. I don't need somebody who can tell me to go to a doctor. If something goes wrong, I don't even need to go to a doctor. It's going to be okay. But they've had
boy.
issues of lots of fatalities and
What?
and major injuries to the kids being born because there were not people there who could take care of things. And it is the saddest, most upsetting thing that I have heard about recently. And I just really, really, I understand not agreeing with everything in the medical infrastructure, right? But there are people who know how to fix problems when things go wrong. And you don't know when or if something will go wrong. And some people get lucky and plopped them out in the garage. It was fine. But other people think everything's going to be fine, and then it really isn't. And unless you have people who can handle that when it happens, you're going to have injury and possibly death. And I don't know. I'm very upset at the emotion and, people's, we know what's right for you, anyway.
That's terrible. I mean, that's
Terrible.
right alongside
It's terrible.
with
So I'm just saying, everybody, watch out there. If anybody is talking about wild birthing, you need to sit down and have a conversation with them very compassionately about why they're doing that. and
Yeah.
talk about cults.
So similar to that, I mean, as long as we're talking about childbirth and
Yeah.
preventable death,
Mhm.
the vitamin K shot
Oh,
is
that is
getting
the new
turned
one.
down,
Yep.
en masse, and babies
Yeah.
are dying.
Mhm.
So it's a vitamin. It's not even a vaccine. It's a vitamin
It's a
that prevents
vitamin.
a baby from bleeding to death. Like,
Yep.
it's not. And
Not a
oh my
vaccine.
goodness, like, to go through all of pregnancy and birth and then to lose your baby because you wouldn't give them a vitamin? Like,
Mhm.
and somebody has convinced you that that thing's gonna hurt your baby, and
Sure.
it's
And
oh,
there's so much fear mongering and so much of the, well, we know everything, and looking for the truth in things, right? And it's not untrue that bad things have happened in hospitals under the care of doctors and medical professionals, but the only way we can make it better is if we push for it to be better and we talk about what we need from it, and we work together for that. Um, but fear mongering so that people are not getting what they need and children die is not okay.
no, I mean, it's
I'm not
like
okay
you said, it's
with it.
fine to ask questions, it's fine to make your own birth
Mhm.
plan, it's like, it's
Yep.
fine to do all these things.
Mhm.
Like, when I was looking into, having an unmedicated birth,
We
um
like, you want to. It's like, I wanna do that, and
yes,
then I wanted
but
to.
first of all,
Oops.
it wasn't fully unmedicated. I didn't take, the why can't I think of epidural? I didn't have an
Mhm.
epidural, but I had lots of other things. I had to take antibiotics.
Mhm.
I had to be monitored for things. I had to take medication afterwards.
Mhm.
There were lots of things that were medicated about it. But what I was going to say was, when I was doing my research to figure out, like, is this right for me and what do I want to try to do? First of all, I never said 100% I wasn't going to get the epidural. I knew that that was always an option
Mhm.
if I needed it.
Mhm.
But also, all of the things that I was doing to prepare for it, most of those books and podcasts and everything that I was trying to, like, absorb to prepare myself,
All
it
the
was
things.
almost always coupled with a general distrust of the medical system and
Yes.
saying that all medicine was bad.
Yes.
And I think that that was
And I'll
really
agree with
hard
that.
for me
Mhm.
because I really wanted to go through this and, like, be an active participant as much as I could, but I also wanted to do the right thing
Mhm.
for me and my child, and
Mhm.
I knew that at any point that could mean pulling the ripcord and handing the reins over to the medical professionals, and I was prepared for that, and that's why I was in a hospital. But, like, you can't just say absolutely no medicine whatsoever. Well, I mean, you
Mm.
can, but people are gonna die. So, I think that if you wanna go in and you want to deny part of, like, the standard menu. Like, if you wanna go into the hospital, you can say, "Give me the special," right? And kinda just
Mhm.
let them do what they wanna do, or you can be an active participant in your healthcare, but if you do that, you have to know what you're choosing, and you have to also pay attention to who the messenger is. Like, if you're listening to somebody with no medical training and no scientific background on what you should or shouldn't do in the hospital, that's not smart.
Yeah.
So, like, pick your messenger wisely, pick your, like, your guiding light wisely, and it's not an all or nothing. I think that's the part that people keep missing about this.
And that's, I mean, I thought what was great with the UCSF system is that it had midwives, and
Mhm.
so midwifery as well as the actual hospital for if things went wrong. And things went wrong. And I wanted to make everything like supernatural, whatever,
Yeah.
but oh well, I have a 15-year-old now and he's
Yeah.
amazing. So
Yay.
I am super happy.
Yeah,
Let's
and
keep it
you're
going.
here also.
And I'm here
Yeah.
and it's all good. So, and that might not have happened otherwise. So, and nobody, nobody knows exact like it was not good. It was a whole thing.
Yeah, but I think
So
also
many
that's part of
mistakes.
it too, is like,
Yeah.
not to turn this whole show into the birth show. At some point, we should have a nice long
Ta-da!
after show about it or something. But I think this is part of it too, is that for a long time, and it's getting better, but for a long time, the conversation around childbirth was like passe, and you like couldn't talk about it in mixed company, and it was like private, and like you also don't want to scare people. But I think that having real conversations with people about what their actual birth story was,
Yeah,
so that
it's
things weren't
important.
a surprise and you know what's possible when you enter that space, is so important, because then you can
Mhm.
have a plan for, if they tell me this, then this, or oh gosh, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know these are my goals at the end of the day, and my goals are for me to be alive and my baby to be alive. Like,
That's the end goal. Like, you can write
yeah,
up a whole birth plan, but what's the end goal? Being alive for both of you.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Like,
yeah.
did you hear enough stories about things that went wrong, so that when things went wrong for you, it wasn't terrifying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But I
it's, yeah,
do understand. So it is historically Western science had moved away from what women knew, and it became patriarchal, and birth was controlled by male doctors and not
yeah,
by women who knew what was going on. And it shifted over a very, very long time to a point where in some places, and not even across the entire United States, we have more more woman-led control of the birth process. And I think it's amazing because you have the ability for a mother giving birth to say, I want this, I don't want that, education to take place so they know what options they have. We have, water births, you have, you know, little stools, you have like
yeah,
all the options, right? You can have home births now. You can have
yeah,
a doula. There's all these things now, and maternal birth rates are down. I mean, are up. Mortality is down.
yeah.
Aside from, in Black mother populations, it is still 30% across the United States, which is way too high.
God,
Like, what the heck?
that's
Um,
wild.
it's because that's a lack of care,
Yeah,
and that is actually like that is racism right there.
yeah. Oh, for sure.
Um, and that's absolutely what that is. That is,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
well documented.
that's systemic.
Yeah,
Um, and we could fix that. And recently, along with the vitamin K stuff, there was also commentary made by Pete Hegseth and others when they were doing like a whole women's health um, initiative that they rolled out at the White House. They talked about the crisis in maternal mortality in rural areas, which they meant, like white women in rural
right.
areas,
Yes.
but the actual mortality rate in the Black female population is much higher and much more of a crisis, and they didn't
Mhm.
mention it at all.
No,
So
well, as they've mentioned out loud, they're more
Mhm.
concerned about white babies.
Oh, and they're also more concerned about the male fertility crisis, which
Yeah, oh, great.
apparently the sperm rates in teenage boys in the 1970s are lower than like those of adult men now. There are no studies. This was like a made up whole heart. Like, who is comparing teenage
Ooh,
boys from the 1970s to like, yeah, no. It
weird.
is
Well,
known
it's
for a
all,
fact no, but it's known
yeah,
factually that sperm production rates decline over lifetime, and so if we're
yeah, of
talking
course.
about teenage boys in the '70s to those same guys right now, hi, guys
Yeah,
watching, um, you're gonna have lower sperm
of
production
course.
rates in your 40s, 50s, 60s than you did when you were a
Yeah,
teenager. That's just the way it
goodness.
is. Um
Okay.
But anyway, the factual basis for so much of these political pronouncements that are coming out that are supposedly related to bettering our public health are specifically misrepresentations, and they are not okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we've turned in like I this is where the science mixes with the politics and
Yeah.
where it is not okay. Because what's actually happening is we're going to end up with more people dying. We're going to go back in history. We want to go back to the 1950s,
Uh-huh.
want to go back to 1776. Well, people are going to die because that they did
Oh,
back
for
then.
sure.
Like more
I
people died
mean,
then. So
yeah.
let's go do that. Okay.
That's yeah.
My hair's falling out of my
Yeah, I know.
braid because I'm like so like worked up right now.
I know. It's just
I
all
don't
we can
want people to
do
die. I want to help people.
is support our own communities and the people that we know and try to redirect misinformation and be there. And also, you know, what I was getting to before is like, if you're comfortable, share your own stories with fertility, infertility, childbirth, pregnancy, like share that information with each other, because there's this weird misogynistic thing about these topics being, I don't know, sexual or like passe or whatever.
Oh,
That's
just how we
totally
grew up.
inappropriate.
That's how
But
we
it's
grew up, Blair,
but
in the
yeah.
70s. Like you
You
weren't
can't
supposed
talk about your
you couldn't
feminine
talk
area.
you couldn't talk about this stuff. So we can talk
No,
about it
but
now. It's okay. But
now is the
it's like,
time.
yeah,
Have those
yeah,
conversations, because that's when you're going to hear your
Yep.
friend or your family member is going to go like, "Oh, I heard this thing about like vitamin K shots," and you'd be like, "No." This is our opportunity to nip these things in the bud and literally save lives.
I think this is why I want to talk about this, because I think it is important, not just for women who are talking to other women about their pregnancies or whatever, to be like, "Oh yeah, girl. Okay, girlfriend." Blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's great. Sharing is caring. But it's also important for everybody else in the audience to be sitting and listening and saying, when they hear somebody talking about something, to be able to respond to it and have understanding and compassion and say, yeah, no, actually those vitamin K shots, we don't have to do silver nitrate in the eyes anymore, because there were bad reactions to that in babies. And so now we actually have erythromycin, and we have the vitamin K shots, and we have things that babies react to much better, that actually do not cause reactions, that are great. So yeah, like this is why. Hey, Stan Angle, guy watching. Nice to see you here. I like that there are guys watching. It's great. We're just telling you. No thing. We're gonna move on now from this week in
I'm all done.
birds.
Yeah.
You done?
Yeah, the animal corner took a strange turn this week, but you know what? It was Mother's Day recently.
Every animal has babies.
So
it's like everyone poops. Everyone has babies somehow or another. Like
I recently saw somebody said the entire world is made up of mothers and their children.
It's true.
So happy belated Mother's Day, everybody.
Happy belated Mother's Day, Blair. Yeah, seriously. It is. Every person here in the chat or listening has a mother, or did. Yes. Whether or not you like that mother, or
you ever knew them or not.
Or
you were birthed.
You had a birth. They had a birth. There was a thing. You survived. Congratulations on surviving. Survival is a whole thing. And so we've talked about microbiomes before on the show. And this study I thought was very interesting. It's in Cell Reports this week, related to the application of medical science to indigenous populations in the Amazon, those that had not ever really received antibiotics, ivermectin, antiparasitics, various interventions that we know within Western science to improve health. So they checked these things out, and they looked at these populations that really were not Westernized. These are 45 indigenous nations that they looked at within Venezuela, and they occupy very remote, sparsely populated parts of the jungle. And they usually use ancestral knowledge to be able to treat parasitic infections or viral infections, all sorts of things. But hey, this research, they were like, well, what happens to the populations if we start actually applying medical science.
I just pictured a scientist showing up to an indigenous population wearing a trench coat and going, "Hey, psst,
Psst, I got something.
you want
for
some
ya."
antibiotics?"
Exactly. So, they looked at the overall fecal microbiodiversity of these indigenous populations that they started helping, and they tracked that biodiversity over the time period of medical exposure. So, like, oh, we're giving you the antiparasitics, the antibiotics, the other things. We're also helping you with, information about diet, and they just were doing Western science applications. And whereas those populations had lots of infectious microbes and other not necessarily great things within those fecal samples to start, that decreased over time, but so did the general biodiversity of the fecal samples. So it's not really surprising if it's like you're killing the parasites. If you're killing the parasites, you're getting rid of the things that certain bacterial and bacterial viral phage populations also survive on and interact with. And if you are cleaning things up, you're and not and, and shifting the diet slightly, you're going to adjust everything. We know that when we take antibiotics, our guts are messed up
Mhm.
afterwards. It shifts our biodiversity, and they saw the same thing on a population level. They saw within these indigenous populations that it wasn't, though, just getting rid of the bad stuff. It was just getting rid of everything across the board,
Mhm.
making their guts more like urban Western population gut samples. So the question is, were they doing better survival-wise beforehand with
Oh.
their adapted bacterial populations and the way that their indigenous knowledge allowed them to treat things or not within the populations? Or are they overall doing better in the jungle, still living their indigenous lifestyles, yet with now a limited
Hmm.
biodiversity in their guts?
Hmm.
And so this, I think, is one of the big questions, because I didn't think there would be a question about it decreasing
Yeah.
diversity.
Does this antibiotic kill bacteria?
Right. If you kill
Yeah.
the parasites, does it also get rid of other like, of course,
Mhm.
yes, it's gonna change stuff. But I was I'm really interested to see how fast it bounces back if they get rid of these medical treatments, if the populations decide they don't want them. And then also, um, does this shift with the ecology? Like, as these different areas are
Mhm.
running into climate change and the movement of farming and more urban practices.
You
I think
know,
there's big questions.
I would be interested in the reseeding process, because I feel like after we take antibiotics, we have to go out of our way to take probiotics and to rebuild our microbiome.
Mhm.
And I wonder if living
Do they
in
have it easier
nature,
there?
yeah, do they actually rebuild it much quicker and easier,
Yeah.
with a more varied diet, a less like antibacterial environment, I guess. Um, just less clean in general. Just
Mhm.
everything's like steam cleaned and antibacterial
And
soap and
right, and there it's
alcohol
definitely
and
not
right,
that level of clean. They're
right.
still in the jungle. They're a
So
village in
are
the
they
jungle.
going
Yeah.
to rebound more quickly? I think that's what I'd be really interested in, because whatever health benefit they receive from having this really robust microbiome, um, are they able to get it back?
Yeah.
Or wiping their entire system, did it like make them get put in square one and they can't reestablish in the same way because they didn't have
Yeah.
like the maternal bacteria, not to bring it back to
Well,
mom.
they had it, but they just got
Yeah.
it wiped. But does
Yeah,
it come back?
exactly.
You know,
Can they get it back?
just go eat a papaya. I don't know.
Yeah. But don't wash it first. Lick the outside.
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah, and so the question is now, like, as they're living in the jungle, but the medical treatment has affected their biodiversity internally, how will this impact other disease propensities? Like, will it make them more likely to have Parkinson's? Will it make it more
Oh,
likely for
sure.
them to have other metabolic dysfunctions? Like,
Yeah.
will this rapid shift, like, will it predict other things to come in their medical histories? But we don't know that for
Yeah.
sure. But yay! Woohoo!
Jeez.
Look what, yeah. Okay, that's fun. Let's do some more fun stuff now.
Yeah.
Okay, for the end of the show, I have 2 things that I want to put in your eyes.
Okay.
Okay. What if you could wear contact lenses
Uh-huh.
that were antidepressants?
What?
Right.
Chemical or physical antidepressant?
Physical.
No, what?
Yeah.
Does it work on
so-
colorblind people?
Probably, because it doesn't have to do with color. It has
Okay.
to do with light. And these these contact lenses that were just reported in Cell Reports Physical Science, they report what they call temporal interference-based transcorneal electric stimulation. So it's a contact lens that enables like stimulation of the corneal surface to the retina, and because the eye is connected to the brain, eventually the brain.
Stimulation. Okay.
And so what they have tested on mice, this is not something that's like a make-believe simulation right now. This is something they have tested on mice, and
They
that
put contact
was,
lenses on mice on mices?
yes, they gave lenses to mices.
What?
They did. Yes.
Wow.
And the lenses on the mices were able to stimulate areas of the brain that are associated, and they were able to block things, and they did various experimental controls to be able
Huh.
to see what was working, how and where and why. But they showed that this system was able to, through an electrical stimulation, was able to, from the eye, stimulate the optic nerve in a way that connects 2 important areas in the brain, and was able to reduce inflammation, was able to increase brain growth and connectivity factors, that it was able to change some of the mice behavior types from
Hmm.
less bold to more bold, to
Mm.
more
Risk
social
positive?
risk positive, more social seeking,
Huh.
as opposed to being more isolationist. So there are models of depression in mice, and so they're able to
Mhm.
use this model.
Weird.
Yeah, I have never heard of anything like this before. So anyway,
How
they've
does it
got
stimulate the eye? What does that mean?
so they've got these various layers that are like electrodes, gallium oxide and platinum, and flexible that are electrodes, and they integrate into these soft contact lenses. And so part of the thing that these researchers are looking at is like, okay, these contact lenses have to contact the eye so that it's able to actually conform and couple to the ocular surface. So that's a
Uh-huh.
really important aspect of what they were doing. But they were able to take this mouse model of depression, and basically, as these these mouse eye stimulators, which I think is so interesting, these mouse eye stimulators, they got stimulated, and they sent a signal that was neurochemical, right? Is a neuro because it's electrical, neurochemical at the eye, and was creating an oscillation similar to in brain, like a theta wave or
Hmm.
an alpha wave or a so they were able to get these certain phase relationships with the stimulation of the surface of the eye that matched to activity within the hippocampus that they were able to basically fix the depressed mice.
Weird. And they're confident there's no like physical sensation involved, or
No, I don't know. That was not what they were looking at.
okay.
I don't know if it tickled their eyes. Is like
Okay. I
they
don't
were
want
not
that.
in pain. This was not like, "Ow," but this is something that, um
It's like, I don't know what the long-term effects of stimulating your eye over and over are.
so what they are calling this, and I'm curious about how they're approaching it, but they're calling it a non-invasive treatment for depression.
Right, and I understand
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Except you do not know what the long-term effects of wearing these could be.
You don't, but do you have to wear them all the time is one question. This
Oh,
is just
sure.
in mice for a study.
Yeah.
How could we allow it to be used for people?
Uh-huh.
Is it something that creates a glow? Like, do you
Oh,
see
sure,
it?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's another part. Like, this is your eye. It's going
Yeah.
through your optic. Do you see it as it's
Yeah.
happening? We have seen that stimulation in certain blue light spectra does have an impact on Alzheimer's
Mm.
and, just like that the neurodegeneration of aging. So and we've also seen that there's, like, certain brain electrical stimulation that can counter depression. And so what they're thinking is, like, the eye is the easiest, most direct route to the brain. And so that's
Hmm.
what their logic is that if we can get the right signal into the eye, that it would be the least invasive, easiest way to give that stimulatory signal that can counteract whatever depression is going on in there.
Hmm.
Would you wear
Weird.
anti-depression contact lenses?
With this research, no.
I mean, not right now.
No, I mean, honestly, I still haven't gotten LASIK because I feel like nobody's lived a full lifetime after getting LASIK yet.
What? Oh, yeah, just get them when
Like,
you're
it
60.
hasn't been
Get the
around
LASIK
for
get
long
the
enough.
LASIK when you're 60.
Yeah.
You'll get
No,
rid of all the
that's
cataracts. It'll be
no,
great.
that's the big thing is, like, I don't know, eyes are like, I don't wanna mess with my eyes with anything
Yeah.
that's experimental, or we don't know the long-term effects.
Well, unless you're going to lose your vision, there's not a reason for you to be experimenting in that way.
Right,
Some people
exactly.
like
That
to
makes me so
play, but
nervous.
yeah,
That
yeah.
makes me so nervous. That's why I don't get LASIK, and I know at this point it's probably definitely safe, but, like, especially when it was brand new, I was like, "You don't know what's gonna happen to your eyes in 60 years. It hasn't been around long enough."
Mm.
But this makes me very nervous. I feel like you're messing with your eyes, and they're saying it's non-invasive, but you have
It's a
no idea if this
contact
is gonna
lens.
impact
But if it's
vision or
only
brain
making a signal
function or
but you put
anything.
contact lenses in, right?
Yes.
And what if it is just the way a contact lens works, and all it does is maybe light comes in, and
Mhm.
because of the way light comes in, it gives a different signal.
Mhm.
Like, it adds to the signal, and it's not anything that your eye wouldn't normally it's not like zapping your eye. It's not anything your eye wouldn't normally consider. It's just in a frequency that your brain interprets in a way
Mm.
that changes your brain activity in certain areas, leading to an antidepressant effect.
Yeah, I guess I would also wanna know, like,
Yeah.
do the effects disappear immediately as soon as you take them out of your eyes?
So many
Like,
questions.
yes, because,
Just
like,
mice.
also, like,
Just
then
mice.
are you
I
gonna get
know.
depressed every night when you go to sleep?
certainly hope
You can have
not.
like withdrawal. It
Man,
just,
I
yeah.
don't want to
don't know.
take out my contact lenses.
I have a lot of questions. Like, obviously, there are a lot of people who would like to manage depression without, like taking a pill, right?
Mhm.
But we have a lot of research, just a huge body of research on how to dose it and what works and what doesn't work. And it's taken a very long time and a lot of trial and error to figure out some best practices. And even then, when somebody
Mhm.
goes on antidepressants, there's an entire kind of trial period to find the exact right dosage and the right chemical and all these sorts of
But
things.
the
And like,
antidepressants it's a different story from
yeah.
well, the chemical treatment is a different
Oh,
story
totally. No,
from
I recognize it's different. I guess my point is, like, if you're
yeah.
trying to treat depression, I think even not wanting to go the chemical route, that still feels safer than this, because this is like such a crazy outside of the box option that,
Mhm.
obviously that's what research is for, is to figure out how to move forward, and then you do
Yeah.
clinical trials and all these things, but it still feels very experimental.
It is very experimental, but I feel like this is experimental in a really interesting
Mhm.
direction. Um, I think a lot of people would be happier to do retinal stimulation than they
Mhm.
would to take a pill
Yeah,
or,
absolutely.
to have to do that every day. So, depending on so many factors that have not been determined yet, because this was a very special study looking only at mice, and that they honestly do not know if they can, like, get this to work on people. How do you get the coupling to the eye?
Mm.
How do you make it work? Like, there's a lot of things they don't know yet, but it's very exciting. The whole concept of the way that light and retinal stimulation could be used to impact mental health, um, I think it's definitely worth looking into. So,
Mhm.
as I think Kevin Reardon is saying, I smell a lot of ifs from this. There are a lot of ifs, but I think it's a fascinating number of ifs, right? It's a great rabbit
Yeah.
hole, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, continue. And my final study for the night is something else I wanna put in your eye. It's plant.
Okay. A plant?
I wanna put plants in your eyes
Ouch.
now. Yeah. Um,
Pollen? No, thanks.
no, so this study I think is so weird, and, like, I think this study is even weirder than the contact lens study. So, this is in Cell, which is the big cell press journal, and basically these researchers were putting photosynthetic plant parts in mammal eyes, basically just to see if photosynthetic plant parts could be put in mammal eyes and add to ATP formation and other, like, create more energy for eyes.
Why?
Because light goes in the eyes, and if we could photosynthesize and have more energy in our eyes, wouldn't that be great?
Just to power our body?
Our eyes, and maybe get rid of inflammation in our eyes, and maybe make our eyes better, faster, stronger. I
What? So your eyes could go faster? I don't
I
get
don't
it.
know. Okay, so so these researchers, yes, so they took what's called the thylakoid grana, and they are part of the photosynthetic system, intracellular system that can be taken this leaf system, light reaction enriched thylakoid NADPH foundry. Of course, foundry. Why not? Because you needed F to be F leaf. Anyway, um, they took this thylakoid system. The thylakoid organelle in plants is responsible for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is responsible for the electron flow through plants that converts carbon dioxide into oxygen, and in the process creates photosynthesis, which the NADPH is involved. And if people are getting older, you might have heard about like NAD plus. we have cells that use NAD, NAD plus, NADPH. This is all involved in the fast metabolism of our cells. And so NADPH is good for energy for our cells. It's great. And what they say here is that their results establish a strategy for using light as an energy input in mammalian metabolic systems and suggest a possible cross-kingdom endosymbiosis-like interaction in which animal cells derive functional benefits from plant-derived photosynthetic neo-organelles. So basically, what they want to do is put plant cells in your eyes so that the light that comes in your eyes doesn't just help you see, but also helps your eyes be more powerful.
I still don't understand what that means.
I don't know, right? Yeah, if you can have more ATP and everything, like maybe it won't just stay in your eye. Maybe it can be transferred to other parts of your brain or your self. I don't know. Maybe I could have just really young eyes.
Young. I mean, that'd be good.
Right? That'd be great. Right now, it doesn't really matter because it's the end of the night and it's sleepy time.
Yeah.
But
my eyes need energy.
Yeah, like sometimes, I don't know. It's not like it would make your eyes shine like a flashlight, but maybe it would just make them more awake, happier.
Turn my eyes green. That'd be cool. Make the sclera green.
Let me photosynthesize this. Yes. Doop, doop, doop.
Give me some plant eyes.
I mean, that is really, it's a very interesting proposal. We adapted so that everything's internal. We use sugars and fats and everything to like burn to get our engine burning and revving and everything. But plants do that, but they also use the sun. It's not to say that we couldn't. We have the same machinery to a certain degree. And so this is what it's getting at, is like, why can't we be like the sloth that has the symbiotic relationship with the photosynthetic organisms in its fur?
Yeah, it's not in its eyes though.
But
it's just like on its hair. It's like very superficial.
What if it were in its eyes? What could that sloth do? See faster.
Yeah, it's more like coral, I would say. Coral have the photosynthetic algae living in them.
Right. What does that do
it's
for
more
them?
Like that. Yeah, it gives them energy. There you go. But they do not have eyes.
I don't know why they needed to put the photosynthesis in the eyes. Why can't we put the photosynthesis in the skin?
Oh.
I mean, I would prefer you put the photosynthesis in the skin.
Yeah. Have a cool tattoo of a plant. Have a tattoo of a plant that photosynthesizes. Oh my God, that'd be so cool.
And you're like, I make my own oxygen.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome. Man, like a tattoo of your favorite plant and it gives you energy.
See, I think there are directions this idea could go. I think it is in the eyes. I'm thinking it's limited. But maybe being in the eyes, it could help with brain health and function as you get older.
Yeah.
Like
just
maybe
don't mess with my eyes, please. I'm not into it.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. You're like, stop talking about that, Kiki. I don't want to talk about you doing things in my eyes. I don't put anything in my eyes.
Oh my God. I remember watching Minority Report, and that was like the only thing I could focus on was all the gross eye stuff. I don't like it.
I hate that, especially where they're like, we're gonna put a needle right in your eye.
Yeah. Well, he used somebody else's. I don't want to get into it. It's all good.
Minority Report. It's a movie. You could watch it.
It's gross. Gross eye stuff.
Photosynthesis. Yes, in the feet, Paul Disney. What if you just put it in your feet and then you took off your socks at the beach?
Oh, sandal time.
Sandal time.
There you go.
And then you could run real fast.
I don't know about this. Like, I don't think you
Or
understand.
maybe it helps you like cool
how
your feet on the
photosynthesis
hot
works.
surface. Photosynthesis for cooler feet.
Oh my goodness. Is this the end of the show?
It is. Can't you tell? It's time to go to bed. Oh my gosh. Blair, thank you so
Yes.
much.
Of course. Thank you. What a fun show.
It's been fun. Everyone in the chat room, thank you so much for being here. It's so wonderful to have your comments and like see what you're thinking as we're going through the show and talking together. It's just, we're having a group conversation here. We love you being here so much. Thank you. Fada, thank you for your help on show notes and social media. Identity4, thank you for recording the show. Gord, Aaron, Lore, others. Thank you for helping to keep the chat room a great place to hang out. All of you. Like really, it's our responsibility. That's what we do. Rachel, thank you for editing the show. And I have to thank all of our Patreon sponsors for everything they have done to make this show possible, for supporting the show. Thank you to Aaron Anathema, Adam Mishkan, Alan Viola, Ali Coffin, Andrew Swansam, Artem, Arthur Kepler, Bob Calder, Bob Coles, Brendan Minish, Brian Carrington, Chris Wozniak, Christopher Dreyer, Christopher Rappin, Craig Landon, Craig Potts, Daryl Myshak, Dave Wilkinson, David Youngblood, Don Mundes, EO, Eden Mundell, Eric Knapp, Flying Out, Fred S104, G. Burton Lattimore, Greg Briggs, Jack, Jason Olds, John Atwood, John McKee, John Ratnaswamy, Johnny Gridley, Ken Hayes, Kenton Northcote, Kevin Parachan, Ken blah, 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 Kevin Reardon, Kurt Larson, Lon Makes, Lauren Gifford, Mary Gertz, Marjorie, Mark Hessenflode, Mark Jason's Noodles, Mark Jenkins, Noodles, Patrick Pecoraro, Paul D. Disney, Paul Ronovich, Philip Shane, Pierre Velazar, Robert Badge, Robert Farley, Rodney Lewis, Rudy Garcia, Rami Day, Sean Clarence Lamb, Shubrew, Stephen Allbrown, Steve Leisman, aka Zima, Sue Dostard, Teresa Smith, Tony Steele, Vegard Chefstad. Thank you. Thank you for all of your support on Patreon. And if any of you who are not currently supporting us on Patreon enjoy the show for what we are doing and how we're here, please consider heading over to twist.org, clicking on that Patreon link. I know it's step. There's a few links in the road. Head over to our Patreon account and support us on Patreon, because this is how we're supported, and it would really be helpful if you were to support this show. Can't do it without you, everyone. It's all about you, really. On next week's show,
we'll be back on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, broadcasting live from Twitch, YouTube, and our Facebook channels.
And if you want to listen to us as a podcast, make sure you search for This Week in Science wherever podcasts are found. Your favorite podcasts are found. Look for This Week in Science. And if your friends like podcasts, make sure that you subscribe them as well. They need TWIS.
That's right. For more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes and links to stories will also be available on our website, twist.org. And you can also sign up for our newsletter.
Oh, yeah. There's one there, cooking. It's been cooking for a long time. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, address, or a suggestion for an interview, let us know on one of our social media accounts or send us an email. But you got to make sure that you put TWIS in the subject line so your email does not get spam filtered into where, Blair?
Oh, a straw on a beach.
No, don't pick that up. No.
We look forward to discussing science with you again next week. And if you've learned anything from the show, remember,
it's all in your head.
This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. 'Cause this week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth, and I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This week in science. I've got one.
Bam, 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 bam. We're 15 minutes late.
Say goodnight, Kiki.
Yeah, it's bedtime, everyone. Say goodnight, Blair.
Good night, Blair.
Yeah, good night.
Say goodnight,
everyone.
Kiki.
Yeah,
There
good night,
you go.
Kiki. La, 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 la. Thank you for joining us for another episode. So great to have you here. Yes, whoop. Evidence-based knowledge. That's right. Whoop, whoop. Thank you, Pepsi Colas. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you had a good time, Paul Disney. I had fun. Oh gosh, here, it's contact lenses that treat depression in city raccoon gains and photosynthesize too. Thank you, one by land. That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Let's put it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is time for bed. So everyone, thank you for joining us. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate your time. And we will see you again next week. Bum, bum, bum. Stay healthy. Stay safe. What is it? Memorial Day weekend in the US this week? So
Yeah.
everyone, like 4th of July, don't blow anything up that involves your fingers. Be
Don't
safe.
drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. Don't get in water that's too cold without a flotation device or too
Watch your
rapid.
child around swimming pools also is a good
Yeah.
one.
Flotation devices are your friends. Also, CPR training. But anyway, barring that, stay lucky and stay curious. We'll see you next week. Good night. We'll see you there.